we were quoting every line. Gangsters in the snow, tight suits, black ties. Dreams in a hallway, kick spin, lose time. Whole decade living on a 2-hour high. 25 films of the 2000's. Whole life running in a montage around us.
Are you ready?
To the kings, to the broken hearted people. Going up the side of the people. Some 25 films of the 2000's.
We start with the most groundbreaking title on this list, The 300 by Zack Snyder. This movie is grounded in its absolutely breathtaking visuals, as well as some other tricks to try and mimic the graphic novel as much as they can. Every actor who took part in the Spartan army developed themselves into complete and total weapons, and to try and come as close as they could to the original Spartan men. Then you throw in an epic tale of 300 men conquering entire kingdoms. Pre-workout fuel for sure. Another notch in the belt masterpiece for Quentin Tarantino, Inglourious Basterds shows a different side of what World War II could have been. Christoph Waltz is a stick of dynamite in this movie. Absolutely evil, with intent and delivery. It didn't matter if there was dialogue or not. About a group of American bandits who took it upon themselves to finish the job we couldn't, and totally laden with star power, with Brad Pitt at the top of the triangle, and many think this is Quentin Tarantino's finest work. Throw in a smooth soundtrack anchored by Jay-Z and some of the greats of 70s past, and then, like all good movie recipes, add Denzel, and maybe even Russell Crowe for good measure, and you have one of the best crime capers of the 2000s. With director Ridley Scott showing that even when he delves away from sci-fi, he can create a masterpiece. Based on the story of Frank Lucas and his drug empire, a man who saw himself as a businessman first before a murderer. A man who became a confidential informant to the police and helped to take down many of the rivaling gangs and dealers. Denzel is smooth as silk in his role, never losing his cool, always maintaining his focus, and willing to show that he can be a ruthless killer when he has to be. A story so wild and grand, you can't believe that it's true. Sin City is an idea that on paper sounds like a terrible idea, but the graphic novel-esque neo-noir tendencies of it make it a truly unique experience. Interweaving the story of Hartigan, Marv, and Dwight, extraordinary souls trying to take back a city they once ruled. This was Mickey Rourke's coming out party after years of absence, shot in a dreary black and white mixed with colors of red, yellow, and light blue, all symbolizing different elements to this unbelievable story. Jonah Hill's first leading man role, and it proves to be a big one, teaming him with Michael Cera, Emma Stone, and others to create one of the funniest movies of the decade. Don't forget Seth Rogen and Bill Hader as Keystone Cops, and Christopher Mintz-Plasse as the legendary McLovin, based on the experiences of Seth Rogen in high school. And if you look in the background, you can see many future comedic stars. A personal favorite comedy. Because of Spielberg's immense catalog, certain masterpieces he made get lost in the shuffle, and you can most definitely add Minority Report to that list. A truly nightmare situation in which future crimes count as real crimes. And even more frightening, what if the system was wrong? A future in which anonymity is no more and privacy is lost, with Tom Cruise again showing his unbridled versatility in any role he plays, with great performances all around, including Colin Farrell and even Max von Sydow, begging the question, how do you prove your innocence if your fate is sealed? Of all the great Will Ferrell movies, I think Step Brothers is his finest work. I remember very vividly going to the movies and watching this with my wife, and the two of us laughing so hard we could barely breathe. And looking back on it now, it's way more loaded with stars than you remember. The chemistry between John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell is unmatched, as they would go on for many years to create some more memorable comedic moments. Even more impressive, the cast has said over the years that this movie is about 20% written page and about 80% improvisation. My go-to feel-good movie. A few weeks back, I left the TV on, and Donnie Darko was on. My son is 16, and to my amazement, he had sat and watched the whole thing. His words were, "Daddy, that movie was nuts." The movie does deal with some really existential thoughts, like time travel and portals, but it's mostly about the emotional stability of a teen on the brink. Director Richard Kelly would make this masterpiece and then never go on to make anything remotely close. I have talked in the past about films that show a bleak future, and some visions are better than others. But Children of Men almost looks like a glimpse into what the future might likely be. A movie about declining birth rates in a world that has a declining birth rate. Clive Owen gives the performance of a lifetime, with Julianne Moore, Michael Caine, and others supplying great supporting cast, with an ending that certainly leaves you with some questions or your own very grim interpretation. Director Guy Ritchie is one of the true pioneers of the heist movie and making it into somewhat of a gem, and with a breathtaking cast, Snatch is one of my favorite heist movies. Guy Ritchie sets a fast-paced, moment-to-moment style that is uniquely his. Big ups to Brad Pitt as the Pikey, a young Jason Statham, and Stephen Graham as Turkish and Tommy. Uncle Avi, played by the incomparable Dennis Farina, but nobody jumps off the screen like Alan Ford as the evil Bricktop. I'm not sure if it's his voice cadence, but he's somehow hilarious and scary at the same exact time. This story has tragedy, comedy, triumph, and everything in between, and it's also a great crime caper. King Kong ain't got nothing on Training Day. If it is possible, Denzel gives another absolutely outstanding performance. Denzel plays crooked cop Alonzo to perfection, with his contrast coming in the form of Ethan Hawke. Throughout the movie, you can see Jake Hoyt starts to realize that Alonzo's world is crumbling around him, and he is right in the crosshairs. And bear in mind, he just had a young daughter, and it's his first day in narcotics. Denzel Washington is a complete force of nature in this movie. People on set say he was a man possessed, improvising into long monologues with extended dialogue. And the scene with Jake Hoyt in the bathtub is one of the hardest scenes to watch, but also beautiful in its message. A movie that dared to put Jack Black in front and take full advantage of his array of talents, not to mention his terrific chemistry with the child actors. Throw in some great supporting work by Joan Cusack, Sarah Silverman, and Mike White, and you have yourself one of the great musical movies of the 2000s. This movie would parlay into a show, and then eventually a Broadway show that did quite well. But in its heart, this is the movie that catapulted Jack Black into another level of stardom. He's also one of the people that sort of broke down barriers as to what a leading man should really look like. Since this movie, Jack Black has become one of the biggest box office draws in all the world, which had a lot to do with School of Rock. A great movie for kids and adults. Tom Hanks proving he doesn't need another human in the shot. Just give him a volleyball and an island, and he can shine. As a matter of fact, over 80% of this movie is just Tom Hanks alone, and he allows you to feel every bit of the monotony, how scared he was, how you could feel every one of his misfortunes and triumphs, and even stress how much the entire experience had changed him after. An absolutely epic film highlighting an all-time great. If there ever was a superhero movie for the un-superhero fan, then it would definitely be Unbreakable. You could point to many great and not so great M. Night Shyamalan movies, but this one's always been my favorite. An amazing thought that if one doesn't know their true strength if they've never been tested. And the right person to test that was Elijah, aka Mr. Glass, the evil mastermind who literally snuffed people out to find his hero. Mr. Glass needed his nemesis, played by an always spectacular Samuel L. Jackson, leaving the question, should David Dunn be angry or thankful? This film is beautifully shot, and and uses multiple colors as metaphors. David Dunn thought he was a regular man his whole life until he was pushed beyond the brink, and always game Bruce Willis brings the role to life. In my very humble opinion, the greatest animated movie ever made is WALL-E. The message: we will gradually kill this earth, and quite frankly, ourselves. It shows how the reliance on technology renders humans almost useless. But somehow, within this story, they create love and allow you to fall in love with Wally and Eve. A movie that shines even without much dialogue. One of the only speaking roles, which was done beautifully by Jeff Garlin as the captain, shows our first glimpse into what could be a possible glimmer of hope for humanity. WALL-E is a fantasy that is deeply rooted in reality, and it is somehow more beautiful every time. And now for something completely different, we pivot to Saw. I have always been drawn to movies that want to go somewhere, that are going to a place that maybe you weren't ready for. Both gritty, real, and beautiful in a way, with Tobin Bell completely embodying Jigsaw. But through all the blood and guts, what you have is a really good mystery. And you beg the question of who John Kramer really is, and why is he doing what he's doing. And by the end, you can't help but think, is Jigsaw really the villain of the story? Or is he attempting to make the world a better place? Like any Quentin Tarantino movie, the Kill Bill saga is not for the weak of heart. But what it is a gorgeously shot throwback to some of the greatest ninja movies of all time. I personally like to watch it all as one. I think they go together, unlike any other movie. It's more of a continuation and less of a sequel. What Uma Thurman put herself through for this movie was nothing short of magic. The tragic life of Beatrix Kiddo comes with many bumps in the road, but much like a video game, she gets closer and closer to her final boss, Bill, with each of the Furious Four posing a unique and unindelible challenge, broken down into various chapters to help explain the backstory of each henchman, both tragic and triumphant. Like any Tarantino film, the tone and tenor are driven home by the beautiful score and soundtrack. Tarantino has this great way of sort of transporting you into each individual world, and that world is always depraved and violent. It is enormously challenging to come up with any adjective that could help explain the greatness of The Dark Knight. This movie delves so beyond any superhero movie, previous or after, leaning on the vulnerability of its characters rather than its strengths. And many would argue that Heath Ledger as the Joker is possibly the greatest character ever on film, drawing inspiration from The Man Who Laughs and from Tom Waits. And Christopher Nolan shows the world that he might very well be our greatest modern filmmaker. Walt Kowalski is an old, surly prick. He's a little offensive, maybe even a little racist, but he has a soft spot for people who work hard. After he catches a young neighbor trying to steal from him, he decides to take in the boy because of his hard work and fairly good nature. Clint Eastwood is amazing as Walt. You can see him begin to soften up as the movie goes on because of his memories of Korea. Despite Walt's gruff exterior, he has a way about him that he wants to protect. Somehow, in his 80s, Clint Eastwood is still as menacing and imposing as ever. The beautiful true meaning is that any type of culture can work together. Michael Mann brings his fast-paced storytelling to a wonderful crime drama in the movie Collateral. In the pantheon of great Tom Cruise roles, this one is often overlooked. It's actually unbelievable when you hear his real size. He seems so much bigger on film. Jamie Foxx also adds to this role and was nominated for an Academy Award. And it was the same year he won the Academy Award for the movie Ray. Cruise is like the T-1000 in this movie, never stopping, unbelievably skilled. The genuine dread you feel for Jamie Foxx getting caught up with a person like Vincent is very palpable. I've actually found it difficult to watch other Lord of the Rings adaptations because The Return of the King was so perfect. Down to the last detail, it absolutely blew me away as a young teenager. It was one of those movies where I didn't know movies could actually do that. I didn't know they could make things like that, especially not with the rich overall character of the entire cast, with the multiple interwoven stories all leading to Mordor. It's hard to start and pick exactly what the best part about it is. Is it the relationship between Frodo and Samwise? Is it Viggo Mortensen rising up as king? The various stages of Gandalf? The inner torture of Gollum, played by Andy Serkis? Or just the spectacle of it all? I don't have one singular funniest movie ever made because there's so many, but I do have a common list, and at the top always is Tropic Thunder. You might think it's impossible to stand out in a cast with Jack Black, Ben Stiller, Matthew McConaughey, and others, but Tom Cruise and Robert Downey Jr. take enormous risks in their roles and absolutely nailed it. In the case of Robert Downey Jr., you might think it's career suicide, but it actually just helped to grow his legend, and he was even nominated for an Oscar. As the Australian method actor turned into an African-American male, sort of. I can't honestly think of a movie I laughed harder at. The comedic dialogue in this film is so fast and absolutely hilarious. I have to take a minute and talk about Tom Cruise as Les Grossman, an amalgamation of all the worst parts of Hollywood into one role. Comedy royalty. The Wachowskis helped develop another masterpiece with V for Vendetta, a story about a revolution against state radio and anything that has to do with it. In a society where speaking up could be the difference between life and death, one man and woman rise above it all. Hugo Weaving and Natalie Portman play V and Evie with such precision, it is a masterpiece of action cinema. Their full immersion into their roles is so self-evident from the first frame. A movie that harkens back to what the true power of a democracy can fully unleash. There are very few perfect films. You could probably on maybe two hands come up with them, and I think Gladiator might always be on that list. A brutal look into the times of the Roman Colosseum, when entertainment meant life or death. Enter General Maximus Decimus Meridius, with Russell Crowe giving the performance of a lifetime, and Joaquin Phoenix arriving as a star. Beautifully acted, beautifully shot, and beautifully written and directed by Ridley Scott. He was father of a murdered son, husband of a murdered wife, and he will have his vengeance in this time or the next. A movie that sits on top of the Coen brothers' Mount Rushmore. Perhaps the greatest use of silence in the history of film. Real, gritty, and unknowingly funny at parts. Like any Coen brothers movie, it's laden with a superb cast, with one notable standout. This movie could be absolutely awful, but if you took everything away and it still had Javier Bardem, I bet you it'd still be good. His performance is as good as it gets, folks. Absolutely frightening, without having to do very much in order to gain that fright. Anton Chigurh is pure, primal evil, and the supporting cast and side characters in his life help to maintain that myth. A wow movie in every sense of the word. I could tell you Javier was the best character of the decade, but I would be completely glossing over the fact that There Will Be Blood exists. I think Daniel Plainview is a metaphor for capitalism when it's at its worst. No matter how many people you put under or mow down to gain what you have. The ending sequence, among others, is one of the greatest monologues ever written, and how Daniel completely revels in Eli's misery. Daniel Day-Lewis is an actor in his prime here, firing on all cylinders. Daniel swept the Oscars that year for good reason. An absolute work of art. Here are the honorable mention who just missed the cut. With so many to choose from, it's hard to just narrow it down.